43. Aric Amirola joins us. Hi, Aric. Welcome down Pit Row.
Hey. Yeah, hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, I don't know how much of that you caught. Charlie and I were just talking about racing momentum. Is there such a thing in your mind? When you get on a roll from one week to the next, is there momentum that you guys pick up?
Well, I think yes. I think momentum is just stems from confidence. Anytime you have a good weekend at the racetrack, you go into the next weekend with a lot of confidence. You know, knowing that you just did it a week ago, there's no reason you can't do it again this weekend. So I think momentum, really stems from a lot of confidence in you and your race team and all the guys around you.
Talk to us a little bit about Darlington. The first time you've been in a Cup car at Darlington, is it any different driving a Cup car around there than say, a Nationwide car or a truck?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Compared to a truck and Nationwide car, it's way different. A Cup car, well, first and foremost, the Cup race is 2.5 times longer than a Nationwide race there. So it is the 500 miles at Darlington is a long time. So you have to be physically and mentally prepared for that. But also the cars drive much different. You know, the Cup cars have so much more horsepower. They tend to be a lot looser. So you're running 170 mile an hour, a couple inches off the wall, and it's easy to make a mistake. You know, you got plenty of opportunity to make a mistake over 500 miles.
Are you comfortable riding up along the wall there? I heard a interesting quote from Danica Patrick when, the whole deal is you got to get up near the wall and you got to run near the wall. And she said, I'm not comfortable running up by the wall. But if you're going to be fast at Darlington, like you said, you got to be up near the wall. How intimidating is it?
Well, yeah, I don't know that it's intimidating. For me, it's not intimidating to run next to the wall. The hard part for me is to run that close to the wall for 367 laps. One tiny little mistake and you're in the fence because you only give yourself a margin of 2 or 3 inches for air. So when you drive down in the corner, you get in just a little bit too fast or your car gets a little bit loose or too tight, that margin of error goes away pretty quick.
Aric, when you finally get your Darlington stripe, and it didn't look to me like anybody avoided it Saturday night, how does that affect? Assuming the car doesn't get smashed to the point where you can't drive it, how does it affect? Yeah. How does it affect the handling of the car?
Well, for me on Saturday night, when I would get into the fence, it would damage our right front fender. And it would put less downforce on the front of the car, and so then it would just get harder and harder to turn the car around the corner, and so I ended up being tight because of it. So that really slowed our lap times down and just took a lot of speed out of the car when I would get into the wall because it would hurt the aerodynamics of the front end of the car.
We're 11 races into the season and 11 races into your career at Richard Petty Motorsports. Is there any place so far, you've been to Martinsville, you've been now to Bristol and to Darlington, is there one place that so far, at least to you, has been more difficult than any of the others?
I'd say the most difficult track for us to date probably was Texas. We didn't run as good as we would have liked to at Texas, and we got disappointed there. But Texas was a real challenge for us, but other than that, the other racetracks we seem to have adapted well, and I think the big thing for us is just each and every week to learn something and to build a notebook, so that when we go back to all these racetracks for the second time later this year, we'll be able to unload strong and start with a fast race car, and I'll know what to expect.
Are you satisfied so far? I mean, I'm sure you're not as satisfied as you could be, but are you pretty much satisfied with your season so far?
I am. I really am. You always want better. I mean, as a competitor, and I'm extremely competitive, you always want better. You always want to be the best. But, the reality is that it's my first full-time Cup, and, I don't expect to go out there and beat Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart every week right now. But as you gain experience and gel as a race team and get things better and better and just to continue to progress, I think over time we should be able to show up to the racetrack each and every weekend and expect to compete with those guys. And we show up to the racetrack expecting to compete with them now. Don't get me wrong, but you know, when we finished 8th at Martinsville and stuff like that, that's what we're capable of. And it's just getting to the point to where we can do that on a consistent basis.
We're talking with Aric Amirola, who drives the number 43 at Petty Motorsports, Richard Petty Motorsports. I had to get that right.
Yeah,
we didn't want to get that backwards. The question is about Richard Petty, Aric. How much of a hands-on owner is he, and does he give you advice, or are you more reliant upon your relationship with your new crew chief?
Well, I think both, really. You know, Richard's really hands-on with the race team. He really, you know, he cares a lot about what's going on a daily basis, and he comes to the shop as often as he can, and he comes to most of the races. So it's important to have him around. You know, he's won 200 races for a reason. So anytime he speaks, I listen. And then also with Mike coming on board, with Mike Ford being there, I think Mike's going to be a great addition to our race team. And you know, he just brings a lot of leadership to the race team, and he knows how to win races. And he's contended for championships over the last few years, and been made the chase. So he knows what it takes. He knows what to expect and what to ask out of a race team and out of his race cars to be able to do that and race for wins and championships and stuff like that. So he's going to be great for me, and I'll be able to lean on him quite a bit for his experience.
Well, Aric, you mentioned that Texas was a difficult racetrack for you this year. You're going to Charlotte next, which is similar, I think, to Texas. At least we've been told that. I haven't driven it. Tell me if I'm wrong, and tell me what your plans are for the next 2 weeks at Charlotte.
Yep, you are wrong.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, the Charlotte is shaped the same as Texas, and that's about it. The surface at Texas is really worn out, and it's really hard to get a hold of. And Charlotte has a lot of grip, and the new pavement there adds a whole other challenge. So I think for us, going to Charlotte, we'll be able to go to Charlotte with a completely different setup than what we had at Texas. I don't expect that we'll run anything close to what we had at Texas, just because you're looking for a different feel out of your race car at Texas than what you are at Charlotte. So this weekend we'll be able to learn a lot, and we're taking a sort of special car this weekend for the showdown to try and make the All-Star race. It's extremely light, and it's got a special bullet in it from Doug Yates. It's you know, should run really good for the short amount of time that we're going to race to try and be able to make it into the All-Star race. So we're pulling out all stops, and we're doing everything we can to get our Smithfield package car into the All-Star race.
Talk to me about that kind of that shootout to get into the All-Star race. What will be your strategy? I guess it'll depend a little bit on where you start, but is it just hell-bent for leather from lap one?
Absolutely. There's no other way. You know, it's a 40-lap race. It's two 20-lap segments with a break in between where you have the option to pit or not. So I think for us, the strategy is really to just go out and haul ass for 40 laps. And you know, we got a really cool paint scheme this weekend with our new Smithfield packing paint scheme that we're showing off, and we want nothing more than to be able to go out and hopefully win the showdown, but if we don't win, to finish second, because they take the top cars in the All-Star race. So that's our goal.
Well, Aric, I give you an awful lot of credit because I make a little bit of fun of this, but nobody's had to remember as many sponsors week in and week out, I think, as you have on your car, and sometimes that gets a little intimidating. But one of the cool things was you got to have that pretty cool STP paint scheme on that car, I believe at least once already, and I think you're going to do it a couple more times this year.
Yeah, that's right, and I'll take that all day long. I don't mind having to remember a lot of sponsors, because that means we got the funding we need to go to race. So, yeah, the SPP car was really cool, the car that we ran there in Kansas. So to have that throwback scheme and all the history and everything that revolves around that 43 SPP car, and to be a part of that and to have my name above the door and to get to race that car was really special. And then to have the relationship that we have with Smithfield Foods and, the Smithfield packing car that we got, and Eckrich and Farmlands out of Kansas City. So to have all those sponsors and all of that, be a part of that, and for them to want to sponsor me, be a part of Richard Petty Motorsports, is really cool.
Well, it's an awful lot of fun, and as they say, kind of what you said, it sure beats the alternative, and that's having a blank quarter panel week in and week out for sure.
That's right.
All right. Well, Aric, thanks so much for being with us. We truly appreciate it. Best of luck the next 2 weeks in Charlotte and throughout the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll get hooked up again sometime after you get that victory under your belt, and we'll talk about that.
That sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Aric.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Aric Amirola.
Okay. That's a pretty cool guy. Another one.